When my daughter was turning 16 years old, she was very nervous about driving on her own. So, a lot of times when she was driving somewhere new, I would have to follow along behind her in my car just to make sure she got to the right place and everything was okay. This was for her benefit. She really wanted that oversight. So we started talking about different trackers that I could install to help her feel a little more comfortable being out on her own. So we did some research and I landed on Bouncie. So this is going to be a full review of the Bouncie device and tracking app that you can install on your kids' cars or really any family member's cars to help get a better picture of what is going on in the driving world. So let's get right into it. When you're looking at trackers, there are a lot of options that you can choose from. You can just install something on your child's phone, or you can stick an Apple AirTag or a Samsung tag into their vehicle or on their keychain or something like that in order to track them. Now, the problem with both of these options, first, the phone doesn't mean that they're the ones driving when it is tracking. And if you're really just concerned about their driving habits and what's going on when they're behind the wheel, then that's going to give you a little too much data, a little too much information. The problem with these tags, these tracking tags, is that it generally needs a device to connect to in order to transmit that data. So if you don't have a phone with you in the car, it's not going to connect and it's not going to get that data. It's also not going to be as accurate as something that's actually using GPS on the device itself. So what we decided is Bouncie. Bouncie is a device that plugs directly into the vehicle. And what I like about this is it's going to also give me insight into the vehicle itself, because a lot of things can go wrong, especially for an older car that you might get for your teenager, and you want to be up to date on all of that information. So I like it being plugged into the car. It's going to also have crash detection. We'll get into all of the different settings and notifications that you can have within the Bouncie app, but there is a subscription fee that goes with it, and that's going to guarantee that it's always getting its GPS information directly to the device. Again, it's not going to be dependent on your cell phone service or anything like that. It's going to be directly on the device itself. So there is a monthly fee associated with the Bouncie to make sure it's got all of these features. So when you open up the Bouncie app, you're going to be presented with this screen. It's going to show you exactly where the vehicle is, kind of a picture of the vehicle if you've uploaded that, and some information about the last few trips that it's had. It's also going to give you some details here on the battery, any engine alerts, or just the status of the Bouncie itself. Now, I can't tell you how many times during the winter I will get an alert on my phone. It's a notification that comes directly through the notifications on my device, and it said that my daughter's battery was low on her car. And the reason is because she was driving there early in the morning, left her lights on. So I would text her in class and say, hey, you left your lights on. She can go turn her lights off before it completely drains her battery. I am going to say this happened several times during the school year. And so it's really helpful. So then that way at the end of school, she's not left trying to find somebody to help jump her car or anything. She is able to prevent that situation from happening. And so that's my favorite feature so far of the Bouncie, is that I've been able to prevent her running out of battery due to leaving her lights on. So when you open up the trip timeline, it's going to give you a lot of details on the latest trip. Or you can pick a trip, any trip in the last, several days, where you can see if there has been speeding or hard acceleration, hard braking. You can see all these details and exactly like where they went, how fast they were going, and what path they took to get there. It will also give you some details on the fuel economy and whether or not they sat idle for any period of time. So let's get into the different notifications that you can set for a particular vehicle. You can add multiple vehicles to your account and just set the notifications for very specific vehicles. So the first one obviously is speeding. So you can set a notification to come to your phone if they are going above a certain speed limit. You can even set it so if they are speeding like 5 miles per hour over the speed limit, it's not going to notify you, but maybe 10 or 15, then that's when it'll notify you. It's really customizable as to what it's going to alert you to. And you can also set just basically a max excessive speed. So if you don't want them driving over 80 miles per hour, even if they're on the freeway, you can set an alert to notify you if they've gone over that limit. You can also create geolocation zones. So you can have a zone for your home, for your child's work, for your child's school. And so you can get notified when they arrive and leave at these specific locations. I don't have any of these set. She's a pretty good kid. She doesn't wander too far away. So there's really no need for me to track that. But for somebody who needs a little bit more oversight, these are really helpful to get these notifications if they're ditching class frequently, or if they say they're at work and they didn't show up at work. So you can really set some parameters based on their location. The most important setting that I hope I never have to use is this impact detection. So if there is a collision, I can get notified on my phone right away that my daughter has been in a collision. Again, I hope I never, ever get this notification, but it is set. And so I would definitely recommend setting that for the Bouncie if you have one. It will even send me an SMS text just in case maybe I'm not getting my Bouncie alerts. Sometimes I've snoozed the app or something like that. So it will send me a text alert as well to notify me of that impact detection. A couple other fun things that you can set for your teenager is a curfew. So you can be notified if they are driving their vehicle outside of that curfew time. And you could be notified about their fuel level. I remember when I was a kid and I would, ride on those fumes, I did run out of gas once. My high school was kind of in a rural area and I had to abandon my car on the side of the road, spend the night at a friend's until I could get to the gas station and get my car filled up with gas. But I definitely ran out of gas and it was not a good situation. So you can see if your child's gas is getting low, you might want to notify them, hey, you better get some gas before you run out. A few of the other things that you can get alerts on is rapid acceleration, hard braking. These are all things that you can just see in the trip details, not necessarily important to get those notifications, I feel, but if you feel it necessary to get those notifications, you can definitely do that here. And the last notification you can set is the distance driven. So here's a story. I hope my mom's not watching, but once when my mom and stepdad were out of town, I wanted to go meet a friend who was visiting family. He lived at least like 12 hours away from me, but he was visiting family that was 3 hours from me. So I got in my car at 16 and drove 3 hours to go visit him for 3 hours and then drove 3 hours home. This would notify my parents if I had driven that extensive distance. So I can set in here how many miles is too many miles for my child to have driven. And I could have gotten that notification, or my mom could have gotten that notification, and I could have gotten in trouble. I will say it was probably one of the dumbest things I've ever done as a teenager is drive that distance, because it was when I was coming back, it was late at night, I was in some mountain passes. It was a little scary. I am surprised I made it home successfully. The other things that you can put in the Bouncie app, and I would recommend that your child install the Bouncie app too, so they also get these notifications and have access to this information. But it has a lot of details about their vehicle. So if there is an accident, they have their insurance information right in here. It has information about their vehicle right in here. Or maybe even if they get pulled over, it has information about their vehicle. So there's a lot of things that you can see right here in the app that are going to be helpful for you to know, like the VIN number, license plate number. I can't tell how many times I don't know my license plate number. So if I go to like a hotel and I have to check in and have my license plate number, I could just open up the Bouncie app and look at it right there. Obviously, you do have to enter that information at one point, but then it's readily available to you. And so I could just look at it there instead of going back out to my car, taking a picture of my license plate, and then coming back into the registration. So finally, the last thing you can be notified on is whether or not the Bouncie is disconnected or reconnected. You can see I was filming some video for this video and disconnected the Bouncie, and then here you can see I got the notifications that the Bouncie had been disconnected. Anytime we take the car into the shop, I get those notifications as well, because they'll remove it and put their computer diagnostic into that port and run their diagnostics. So they usually remove it at that point. But so I'll get the notification that it's been removed. So if you do have somewhat of a sneaky kid, you will be notified if they remove the Bouncie from their car. So that's basically all there is to it. It's really easy to set up. It's really easy to navigate. I am super glad that we have that for her car. She actually is very glad that she has it too. She feels a little more watched over and protected when she is out on her own. So it's definitely something I would communicate to your child about, whether or not this is something that will help them feel a little safer. Or if they wanted some, if they're 17, 18, they want some more privacy, maybe install the Bouncie, but have them install it on their phone instead of on your phone, so they can still get these notifications, and then you can still get that text notification if there is an impact detection, because you can send that text to anybody, so they can set it up, and then there's a little less oversight from you, but they do still have a lot of insight into what is going on in their car as well. So I think it's really important to understand all of the nuances. If they get the check engine light, it will show up on the app what that check engine code is, so they can get their car fixed. Again, I think it is the best option among all of the different options, as opposed to tracking their phone or tracking them with some sort of tag that needs a phone to connect. I like that it connects directly into the car itself. So let me know if you have any questions about the Bouncie. You can put those in the comments right here, or reach out to me on social media. I am Family Tech. Please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel so that you can be the tech expert of your own home, and we'll see you next time.